The space race of the 1960s was a great scientific achievement, but it was also a race of competing political systems. It was democracy versus communism. The hearts and minds of the planet were at stake, so it was absolutely vital for everyone to look as good as possible. The astronauts and the cosmonauts were the faces of this whole contest, and as such, they had to look good in the eyes of the public. And that meant that they had to be on their best behavior all the time. NASA was especially concerned that their guys be, all American boys. They were sold as heroes, doing heroic stuff and behaving like heroes. And in public and on TV, in both stage-managed appearances and this is very important, when they were busy doing whatever it is that astronauts do when they're on a mission, they all really had to look great, flawless, perfect. This became especially important during the Apollo program when so many billions of people were following the astronauts' every move on live television. The problem was, though, that some of these guys were pretty crusty. Test pilots, military personnel, men's men. And there were a few of them who didn't exactly speak in family-friendly terms. This was a problem for NASA. How could they make sure that their heroes didn't let rip with all kinds of foul language when the entire planet was tuned in? There was one astronaut who had a particularly potty mouth. His language wasn't enough to scrub him from the mission, so NASA had to find a way to ensure that this guy didn't drop a bucket of F-bombs at the worst possible time. So, NASA found a psychiatrist to hypnotize him. A suggestion was implanted. Whenever you feel the need to curse, you won't. Instead, you'll just hum a little tune. Now, the name of this astronaut was never revealed, but if you go back to the transcripts of Apollo 12 and listen to Pete Conrad as he bounced along in the ocean of storms in late November 1969, you'll hear him go, dum-de-doo-de-dum-de-dum-de-doo, a lot of the time. How's that for a space secret? Now let's talk about some music secrets.
This is The Secret History of Rock with Alan Cross.
Hi again, I'm Alan Cross, and I like that astronaut story. I'm something of a space geek, and when I read that one, I went, wow, that's cool. And I hope to get the same reaction from you over the next couple of hours as we talk about music. One of the things we'll do is look back to what happened in 1989. We'll spend some time diving deep into the tragically hip myth. We'll visit 3 very historic rock clubs, and I want to begin with some world records. I still like flipping through a new edition of the Guinness Book of World Records just to see what's the biggest, the smallest, the fastest, the slowest, the tallest, the deepest, the longest, the shortest, the furthest, and the closest things in the universe. Let's apply those concepts to music. What, for example, is the longest album title the world has ever seen? Well, for years, it was a Fiona Apple CD from 1999 called When the Pawn Hits the Conflicts, He Thinks Like a King. What he knows throws the blows when he goes to the fight, and he'll win the whole thing, for he enters the ring. There's nobody better when your mind is your might, so when you go solo, you hold your own hand and remember that depth is the greatest of heights, and if you know where you stand, then you know where to land, and if you fall, it won't matter, because you'll know that you're right. That's 90 words and 355 characters. But then, a group from Belgium released an album with an even longer title. Most of the remixes we've made for other people over the years, except for the one for Eins des Ende Neubauten, because we lost it, and a few we didn't think sounded good enough or just didn't fit in lengthwise, but including some that are hard to find because either people forgot about them or simply because they haven't been released yet. A few we really love, one we think is just okay, some we did for free, some we did for money, some for ourselves without permission, and some for friends as swaps, but never on time, and as always at our studio in Ghent. Okay, so that's 103 words and 450 characters. But the following year, in 2008, the British band Chumbawamba released a record entitled The Boy Bands Have Won, and all the copyists and the tribute bands and the TV talent show producers have won. If we allow our culture to be shaped by mimicry, whether from lack of ideas or from exaggerated respect, you should never try to freeze culture. What you can do is recycle that culture. Take your older brother's hand-me-down jacket and restyle it, refashion it to the point where it becomes your own. But don't just regurgitate creative history or hold art and music and literature as fixed, untouchable, and kept under glass. The people who try to guard any particular form of music are, like the copyists and manufactured bands doing it the worst disservice, because the only thing that you can do to music that will damage it is not to change it, not to make it your own, because then it dies, then it's over, then it's done, and the boy bands have won. That's 156 words and 710 characters, not counting the spaces. Oh, and in case you've forgotten, Chumbawamba is the band that did this song.